I think that Stephen Miller is the most disgraceful and disgusting figure in our politics today, but clearly his wife Katie is furious with me holding that opinion of her husband because she wants me to hold that opinion of her. I'm not even joking with you when I say that Katie Miller seems to be in competition with her husband to see who can spew more bile, to have more bigoted opinions, to play the victim more than anyone else, which Stephen Miller loves to do. But both of them, they're getting caught. It has caught up to them because a newly leaked court document is not only exposing Katie Miller, catching her in criminality, but also humiliating both her and her husband. We are going to get into this story, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel and the fact that we call out Stephen Miller, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into this story, this leaked court document and how Katie Miller has been caught in a crime and in a huge lie, I want to start with someone who calls out Stephen Miller just as much as I do, just as forcefully. That's Governor Gavin Newsom.
What's your strongest opinion on Stephen Miller right now? Like if I say Stephen Miller, the first thing you think is?
He's about cruelty and chaos. Yeah. I think there's a cruelty to him. I really do. And I don't say that honestly about a lot of people.
Where do you think that comes from?
I don't know. I don't want to. I don't know him, so I can't analyze him except from afar. Quite literally, people are disappearing.
Yeah.
The scream that you can't unhear what you hear or see in these videos of moms that are losing family members. Those screams are real. I was with a 16-year-old kid who couldn't even look me in the eye because his mom and dad disappeared, going to the same job they went to for 20 years at a vegetable packing place in Ventura County. That's Stephen Miller. That cruelty is, I feel that, man. And I'm telling you, put a 15-year-old boy, disabled boy, in Los Angeles, waiting for his sister to walk across the street from school, and Border Patrol put a gun to the head of that young child. That's Stephen Miller. So spare me any niceties with respect to this guy.
Yeah.
I have nothing good to say about him, period. I don't know what his motivations are, but the one thing all his actions have in common is cruelty.
Cruelty is the point with Stephen Miller. He enjoys it. There is something sick about him. And the same goes for Katie Miller, and I am not afraid to call that out. Katie Miller is not just someone's spouse or someone's family member, kind of hiding in the background, and maybe we don't need to give her so much flack. She worked for the first Trump administration. She worked for the second Trump administration. She worked for Elon Musk. Now she's a flacky with a podcast who goes on Fox to bitch and moan and whine. Katie Miller just complains all the time. And then she says that attacks on her husband, calling out a man who, acts like a Nazi. I think that's okay. Considering he acts like a Nazi, I think we're allowed to say those things. It's not abhorrent and so disgraceful. What's disgraceful is what Stephen Miller does. So I'm really tired of all the whining and the outrage that we see from MAGA when they're claiming we're the first people to ever put these labels on them. First of all, if you don't want to be called a racist and a bigot, stop doing such racist and bigoted shit. If you don't want to be called a fascist, stop acting like a fascist. And if you're mad that people are calling you Nazis, I'd take that up with J.D. Vance because he was the first person to do it. But what happened to freedom of speech? What happened to these being the freedom of speech people? That has clearly gone away, no longer in love with the First Amendment because of what Katie Miller went on Fox to complain about. It is important context for what then came out in a court document obtained by Zateo, but we got to look at her whining first. It's very important context to this all.
The morning after our dear friend Charlie was assassinated, I take a step out on my porch and I had a lady out there saying, "I'm watching you." They then doxed my family by distributing flyers all over our neighborhood, saying that my husband, Stephen Miller, is a Nazi, is a war criminal, and had our home address. They spread it all over our neighborhood and have continued to do so, not only at my children's parks, but around town. And as you and I both know, what they're intending to do is not just peacefully protest. And maybe these people are not the assassins, but they are inciting the same violence that we saw take out our friend Charlie Kirk last week. I will not sit idly by while anyone else is murdered. I will not sit idly by while they come after my friends. And to the people who are standing outside my home and writing chalk and trying to intimidate and scare us.
So Katie Miller goes on Fox. Oh is me, woe is me, oh no, oh it's so bad. They're being mean to me. People in my neighborhood don't want me to live there because I'm such a bigot and they're being mean. What am I going to do? Well, boo-hoo, Katie Miller. Okay. So Katie Miller claims that she's being harassed, that she's being targeted. We actually talked about this in a previous video, that a judge rejected the ability to go and obtain the phone records of a woman who like walked by their house and put like a thumbs down. It was like, boo, you guys suck. Like, oh my God, search your phone records. Well, we got to investigate this person. Throw them in jail while you're at it. All right, we don't even need a trial. She looked at Katie Miller the wrong way. Well, what a crying shame. But Katie Miller went to the cops. Oh, boo-hoo, poor Katie Miller. She played the victim, and now it's all coming back to bite her. It's all coming back and blowing up in her face, and it's the same for her husband as well. Katie Miller's claims about threats fall apart in damning police report. White House aide Stephen Miller's wife has claimed she and her husband bravely stared down an intimidation campaign that forced them to relocate from their home due to terrorist messages left in their driveway. But a police report apparently paints a very different picture of how the September protest outside the family's Arlington house actually went. Katie Miller, 34, appeared on Fox in the wake of the protest, insisting to host Sean Hannity that people standing outside my home and writing chalk were making terroristic threats. She later declared, "We will not back down. We will not cower in fear." The couple has since moved and out in October, put the house on the market for $3.75 million after facing several demonstrations outside that included slogans like "Trans rights are human rights." But an Arlington County police report obtained by Zeteo undermines Miller's characterization of the protest, explicitly describing the chalking as political messages rather than threats. In an official write-up, the complaint, the reporting officer wrote, the messages were non-threatening and alluded to political issues such as immigration, transgender rights, DEI, and white supremacy. As you can see here, this is not an overt threat, but Katie Miller is pretending that this is the scariest thing in the world. Miller also posted a video on social media of her hosing off a message reading, "Stephen Miller is destroying democracy." She later framed the protest as part of a pattern of harassment against Trump's deputy chief of staff and his family. In the same Fox News hit, Miller accused the protesters of doxing the family, a claim that has figured heavily in investigations against one activist who protested outside the family's Arlington home. Barbara Ween, 66, was accused of posting anti-Miller flyers and making an "I'm watching you" gesture towards Katie Miller. In a legal fight over what counts as doxing, a federal judge on November 7th twice refused FBI bids to search Ween's phone. Arlington's elected prosecutor also moved to narrow a prior state phone search warrant, and the DOJ signaled it would appeal. So Katie Miller was claiming that it was like a domestic terrorist attack to go to her house, and not even her house, but just around the neighborhood, and write in chalk, "Maybe people shouldn't be randomly picked up by unidentifiable men in mass and thrown in the back of vans to be shipped off to foreign torture prisons with no due process." And she's like, "Oh my God, this is a threat against me." If you see like a photo or a chalk, chalk on a sidewalk, or if you see a protest sign that says like "Punch Nazis," and you're like, "Oh my God, this is a threat to me," you're telling on yourself. If you get really offended by the idea of basic human dignity and you think that's a threat against your way of life, Katie, maybe you're the oppressor and not the oppressed. If people protesting for human rights, for fair and equal treatment, is an imposition on your life, then you're the one oppressing people. I'm so tired of this conservative victim complex when it's "woe is me, oh no, they're going after me, I'm being doxxed, I can't say anything," as I speak to millions of people on the biggest cable news outlet, Fox. Like, it's the funny, like, little ironic, "Oh, conservative voices are being silenced." What's the actress's name? Phoebe from Friends. But you know who I'm talking about. It's like, "Conservative voices are being silenced. I say it on my podcast and on Tucker Carlson and my best-selling book." Katie Miller's got a podcast that no one listens to, that she can get the vice president of the United States on, because she's connected to the administration, and she wants to tell you that she's a victim and it's all boo-hoo and everyone's out to get her. Oh no, you had to sell your $3.75 million home to move into a $4.5 million home in Northern Virginia? What a tough life it is to be Katie Miller. Oh my God, would you just shut up and go away? If you didn't actually go out and attack people and do a horrible job debating on CNN, maybe people wouldn't pay attention to you. And they're not coming after you. It's chalk. You hosed it off. Anything that you can hose off, I promise you, isn't going to get you in the middle of the night. Do you know what you can't hose off? The ICE thugs, the Proud Boys, the Oath Keepers, ripping people out of their communities. That's not something you can just throw soap and water on and call it a day. Those are the attacks that you're launching, you and your husband. So I'd say a little message around your neighborhood with some chalk saying trans rights is probably down in here, and a bigger deal up there would be fucking assaults from these ICE bastards who need to be prosecuted after this administration is over. Before, I would love that. Lump in Stephen Miller, lump in Katie Miller. They're all a part of this. They're not victims, though. I'm so tired of that. I'm so tired of that narrative, that they're victims. And oh no, Katie Miller, what a shame. We should feel so bad. We should say sorry. And she tried to conflate it with the Charlie Kirk thing. She's like, this is what they did to Charlie. This is what they did to poor Charlie. Y'all know how I feel about that. First of all, for like Charlie Kirk. Also, Erica Kirk, you are a grifter and embarrassment. Let's be real about that. Let's be real that she's a bit of an embarrassment. I think y'all know I believe that, but I just have to be so honest. I can't put up with it. I can't put up with the Katie Miller of it all. She is just such a vile figure. Her podcast is so bad. I asked Gavin about it, and he tried to be Governor Newsom. Sorry. Maybe I should be a little more respectful. No, we'll call him Gavin. He's a friend. He's a friend of the show. I asked Gavin about it, and as you saw if you watched that interview, he was like, I'm not impressed. He didn't want to go off on Katie too much. I did push him to be like, come on, like, we're allowed to mock Katie Miller. She's a bad person doing bad things. Like, this isn't just a spouse. And I don't want to be the only unwilling to go to battle with a little bit of pep in the step. And no one has showed that more than Gavin Newsom, right? Gavin Newsom didn't write an op-ed. Gavin Newsom didn't boo-hoo on MSNBC when Greg Abbott was trying to steal the midterms for Donald Trump. He bucked up, said, well, okay, I'll get you 5 seats. How about that? I'll go to the people to do it. I'll do it legally. We're going to start this fight. That first poll, by the way, we talked about this in the interview. You should check it out. It's a good interview. Was Midas Touch did a video on it as well. It's been everywhere. Jesse Waters complained about it. Midas Touch played it. It was a good interview. You should check it out. Nevertheless, that first poll, redistricting, Prop 50, 35%. So I know a lot of y'all in my audience really like Gavin Newsom. I really like Gavin Newsom. I love the fight that Gavin Newsom has displayed. I know some people who aren't the biggest fans of Gavin Newsom, but what I'll say is I can't think of a lot of Democrats who would have done what Gavin Newsom did or have displayed that amount of courage. Another person that comes to mind, Senator Chris Van Hollen, is a great example. Going to El Salvador, that is, yeah, I'm not going to whine about being in the minority and saying we can't do anything. There's so many Democrats who go, well, we don't have any power in Washington right now. It's like, you're an elected member of Congress. Maybe do something. Don't cower. So I'm really proud of Gavin. That was a bit of a diatribe. It's all to say, Katie Miller, shut the fuck up. Period. End of video. We'll leave it there. What more do I need to say about such a terrible person besides the fact that she is terrible? We all know it. I'm going to continue to call her out. That was a bit of a rant, but we haven't done one of those in a minute. If you want to support my rants, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around at the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Keep on fighting, y'all. Click right here to watch the Gavin interview. And until next time, I'll see you soon.